But how about the emulation performance? That is something I also want to dedicate this video to. So if you just want to play some old school games, this is not going to be a problem. Think about 8-bit, 16-bit era, some PlayStation 1, PC Engine or even some MAME. Here we have a lot of possibilities due of the fast CPU inside of this machine. Do take consideration, if you're having an i5 or an i7, the emulation on the higher end system can be slightly different. It's going to be a blast to the past when it comes to the old school systems. Of course, there are a gazillion different devices out there they can actually play these things with. One of the first systems I always wanted to try out was PlayStation 1 because we can even upscale it with the internal resolution where it's going to be looking even more better. Then that's one of the things you cannot do on a cheap game box, but we can do with a mini PC. We're starting off with some PlayStation 2 emulation. Like I mentioned before, with the PlayStation 1 we can upscale it and it is no difference for the PlayStation 2. We can even absolutely upscale this thing to 4K resolution internally, and this thing is absolutely a beast when it comes to PlayStation 2 emulation. With an old PC we have so much fun, and it's absolutely great to see how far we can push it. We have around 50% sometimes usage with the GPU, but when you're looking at, let's say, maybe some different games, it can be slightly different. Okay, the first thing I wanted to showcase is actually how fast will it load with PlayStation 3 emulation. So depending on the power of the CPU, I've tried this emulator with, let's say, i9s, and they were having like almost instant loading. And with an older i5 or i7 or an i3, we need to wait a little bit longer. But the loading time, I don't find it really annoying, but as you can see, actually, I just wanted to showcase you how fast it will load. You need to wait, it will be like 30 seconds or so, maybe a little bit longer depending on the game. Okay, so when it comes to PlayStation 3 overall emulation, it's absolutely great. We can even mess around with the upscaling if you want to, but the overall performance with most games are just great. And of course you need to take consideration when it comes to, let's say, the overall performance and of course compatibility with some games. In the end, I think it's absolutely great. This device is just really nice when it comes to, let's say, PlayStation 2 and 3 emulation. So let's move on to some PlayStation Portable. Next up, let's take a close look at some God of War, 10 times resolution, no, like say, tweaks going on, everything set to the maximum level, and this i7 doesn't have any problems with it whatsoever. So also for PlayStation Portable, we can just really enjoy ourselves some God of War, the Chains of Kinkiness. Let's move on to the GameCube, and with the GameCube we are going to set it to the 4K internal resolution just to see how we have an overall performance. So F-Zero GX is one of my favorite games to play and is absolutely one of those most, let's say, difficult ones to emulate. But the performance is absolutely amazing and the game looks just great. And I think it's absolutely cool to see that we can even play this on an older, let's say, MSI Trident 3, where we have all kinds of very expensive, let's say, mini PCs nowadays. So with the MSI Trident, this thing has so much potential. And even looking at the CPU, GPU, it isn't even being used fully. So in overall performance, we need to play a little bit more, get a stable 60 FPS. But so far, so good. We can always start tweaking when it comes to some settings to check out if we can get even better overall, let's say, performance in combination with a better, nicer look. But also let's take a close look at the Wii with the same emulator, and the overall performance is quite nice with the 4K resolution. We can always, like, let's say, do some tweaking to get an overall better result with some better emulation performance. But so far out of the box it looks kinda cool and it has a stable frame rate so far. The MSI Trident 3 is absolutely a great piece of technology. It's getting cheaper, and that is a very convenient thing because you can play a lot of cool games on it when it comes to indie, AAA, but also emulation. Throughout the video I've been using just the Xbox 360 controller because it's going to be recognized by a lot of games, plug and play. Let me know in the comments what do you think of this solution. Yeah, I picked it up for around, let's say, $2.99. Maybe you can find it even cheaper depending where you're living it and where you're finding it. But if it's going to be even more cheaper, it's going to be even more fun to pick it up. Thank you all for watching, consider subscribing, and it would be great to see you in the next video. Like I setup, we have cleaned it up. The only thing we need to take consideration, maybe we need to do some thermal paste replacement in the future if this thing is heating up. I'm going to leave in the one single channel 8GB for now, just to see how this thing comes out of the box. And actually comes out of the box because I got somebody send it to me. But nevertheless, let's take a close look and let's do some testing. Alright, so let's take a close look at the specifications. It's time for the wicked nerdy time with the CPU Z. Intel Core i7, the 7 series or the 7700 comes with the code name KB Lake. 65 watts of max TDP, has the socket 1151 LGA. So when it comes to the overall performance, we're going to check it out when it comes to some gaming. So over here we can see that we do have some nice overall specs when it comes to also the bus specifications. This is a PCI Express 3.0. MicroStar International is the manufacturer of the main board. We're only having one slot, an 8GB DDR4. So I wanted to check out if I can maybe upgrade this to a dual channel in the later on, let's say in the future, because we still haven't a slot ready. So what is interesting that it seems to be having even more slots, but I'm guessing this is on the other side of the main board itself. The graphics is the GeForce GTX1060, 3GB is more than enough for the stuff that I want to play. 120 watts, and that's actually what we're getting when it comes to the CPU set and the wicked nerdy time.